You've probably heard the story of Noah's Ark, right? We all think of the little kids' books, the cute wooden animals going two by two. But what if we peel that back and look at it for what it really is? I mean, this is one of the most ambitious and, frankly, one of the greatest rescue missions ever conceived. So yeah, let's dive into this.
So that's the big question we're going to tackle. Was it the greatest rescue mission ever engineered? We're going to break this ancient story down, not just as a legend, but as an incredible feat of logistics, of engineering, and just sheer will to survive. Was it the ultimate rescue? Let's find out.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. We've got 5 key parts. First, we'll look at why this mission was even necessary. Then, the absolutely mind-boggling blueprint for the Ark. After that, the storm itself. Then, what life was actually like on board. And finally, we'll talk about the promise that came when it was all over. Okay, let's jump right into Section 1, A World Condemned. You know, every great rescue mission kicks off with crisis, right? Well, this was on a planetary scale. So, the setup is this. The situation on Earth was, to put it mildly, not good. The story says the world had kind of reached a point of no return. So wicked that a radical decision was made, a total global reset. But here's the key thing. This wasn't just about destruction. It was about clearing the deck for a brand new start. And of course, every mission needs a leader. The person at the heart of this epic is Noah. Now what's interesting is he's not chosen because he's a master shipbuilder. Not at first anyway. He's chosen for his character. The text calls him righteous and blameless. He's the guy deemed worthy enough to literally carry the future of the world on his shoulders.
Which brings us to Section 2, and this is where things get, well, huge. We're talking about the impossible blueprint. Because, saving the world takes more than just being a good person. It requires a vessel of truly epic, almost unbelievable proportions.
Now, before we get to the Ark specs, we got to get our heads around its main unit of measurement, the cubit. It's an ancient unit, but it's simple enough. It's basically the length from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger. So about 1.5 feet. Now, keep that in mind, because the numbers we're about to see are pretty staggering.
Okay, check this out. This chart puts those ancient cubits into terms we can actually picture. We are talking about a vessel that was 1.5 football fields long, as wide as 6 bowling lanes put together, and as tall as a 4-story building. This wasn't a boat. It was a floating skyscraper, and remember, this was all built with pre-industrial tools. Just incredible. And get this, the blueprint was super specific. Use gopher wood. Build 3 separate internal decks, for stability, storage, and separating all those animals. Put a roof on it, and, the most crucial step of all, seal the entire thing with pitch, inside and out, to make it completely waterproof. This was a serious, practical engineering plan for survival.
All right, let's move on to Section 3, 40 Days of Rain. So the Ark is built, the passengers, human and animal, are all on board, and then the doors close. The cataclysm begins. 40. It's the number everyone remembers from the story, right? 40 days and 40 nights of non-stop, unrelenting rain. It's this iconic symbol of the flood. But what if I told you that was just the beginning, just the start of the timeline?
Well, okay, look at this. This timeline shows what really happened. The rain might have stopped after 40 days, but the waters kept rising for a full 150 days. The Ark was just drifting for months and months before it finally landed on a mountain. And it wasn't until around day 370, that's over a full year later, that the ground was dry enough to actually leave.
Which leads us straight into Section 4, Surviving the Silence. Can you imagine what that was like? Being trapped on that vessel for an entire year, floating on his silent, empty world?
This chart, this really puts the pressure into perspective. You've got just 8 people. Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives. 8. And they were responsible for keeping thousands of pairs of animals alive. I mean, the sheer weight of that responsibility it's almost impossible to imagine.
Yeah, this year-long trip was a non-stop logistical nightmare. Think about the daily grind, feeding all those animals, managing tons and tons of waste, making sure there was enough fresh air in a totally sealed box, keeping the lions from eating the lambs, and on top of all that, just trying to maintain hope when you might be the last people alive on the entire planet.
And that, finally, brings us to the end of the mission. Section 5, A Promise in the Sky. Because after all that survival, after the silence, comes renewal.
So after the floodwaters are gone, Noah's family steps out onto this new, clean earth. And a promise is made, a covenant. This right here marks the end of the cataclysm. It's a guarantee of stability, of seasons, of the normal rhythms of the world. It's the ultimate promise that a reset like this will never have to happen again.
So what's the big takeaway here? When you look at it through this lens, the story of Noah's Ark totally transforms. It stops being just a simple story about a flood. It becomes this epic tale of profound resilience, a showcase of monumental engineering against impossible odds, and ultimately, a powerful story about the promise of a second chance.
So, I guess I'll just leave you with this one final question to think about. Depending on what part you focus on, the world that was lost or the new world that was saved, is this the ultimate story of destruction? Or is it, maybe, the ultimate story of hope?